Be doing another review of a RMC that I rode over my 2025 coaster trip, and that is Wildcats Revenge. Wildcats Revenge is a new style RMC that focuses on a lot of the amazing things from the past, like inversions airtime, but also throw in some weird lateral movements that are not really traditional on the older RMC coasters. But I want to see where it places in my rankings and just how good it is compared to many other rides, but other than that, let's just dive straight in. But let's start with the entry experience and basically everything that comes with that. And the first thing you see walking up to the ride is the amazing views of the station, which is so insanely weird, chaotic by like the colors, but it's so insanely sick. Then you have the actual entrance with the logo, which is extremely good logo, but there is also something else there. There is a suspended piece of the old Wildcat track, which is incredibly cool and amazing to see the homage to the old ride that took its spot before it. But you enter the line, and it's no different than any other ride line in the world that you can think of. You have some switchbacks that just go back and forth for a while, but you do get some amazing views of many of the elements like the underflip and some other elements as well. But after some switchbacks, you take a long path to the lockers, which also has some amazing views, being right up against the double down, just being feet away from it. But you get to the lockers and are just like any other lockers out there. You put your stuff in, you put a code, but they're just nice overall to put your stuff in. But after that, you just get straight to the stairs that take you straight up to the station. And this station's a little bit different from the RMCs, being that there's a separate unload and load station. So when you actually get to the train, there's not going to be any people sitting there. But you sit in the trains, which are the exact same restraint as all the other RMC trains, which have these shin guards, everything. But you pull the restraint down and you are ready to ride. To start the ride, there's a little bit of a pre-section, but don't expect anything crazy here. It's just a small drop out of the station and two very small twisted hills/turns and another wide turn that connects to the lift hill. The whole point is to just turn the train around to get it to connect to the lift hill, so don't expect any airtime or anything cool like that. But you go up the lift and fall down the 140-foot drop at a 82-degree angle, and even though it isn't the biggest drop out there, it still packs a pretty big punch. In the back, you get a great pop of ejector airtime, and overall, I would say it's pretty in the middle of RMC drops in my opinion. It's not better than Steve's, since Steel Vengeance just has the height advantage, but I do like it a little bit more than the inversion drop on Twisted Timbers. Right after the drop, you rise up and hit the underflip element, which is very weird, but I like it a lot. You go through it like a normal 0G roll upwards, but about halfway through, you flatten out sideways, not like a 0G stall where you're like fully upside down, but you're like suspended sideways halfway in the air. Then you just finish out with a normal overbank kind of style drop to the ground. Overall, I like this thing a lot. It's pretty whippy and it's fun overall. After that inversion, you rise straight into a straight airtime hill, and even though there isn't anything special about it, it's still a great moment of airtime. You travel over this thing with some extraordinary speed, and that results in some amazing ejector airtime. Following that, you rise into what would be a normal airtime moment, but then you are twisted to the right, getting a great quick outer bank pop of ejector. This is the type of airtime that you would expect from an RMC, being a quick pop of ejector in the opposite direction that you would expect. After that pop of airtime, you are sharply twisted back to the left and hit a wall stall. This is another moment of sideways airtime, which this ride actually has a lot of, but in my opinion, this is one of the weaker moments of the ride. Don't get me wrong, it's a good pop, but there's more elements in the future that have this type of airtime, but are just better and stronger. Afterwards, you rise into another inversion, a 0G stall. I think this is debatably the best inversion on the ride, and just like all the stalls out there, it's pretty good. There isn't a lot of hang time on this one, but the 0G feeling upside down, just straight euphoric and feels amazing, plus the whip in and out is pretty good as well. Following that, you hit another wall stall, and I think this one is a lot more powerful and just overall better than the last one. You take this one with a lot more speed, being a little bit closer to the ground, and the ejector is insanely powerful. I like this airtime right here a lot. You then rise into a double down, which is nothing like you would expect. The rise up has normal ejector airtime like usual, but then at the top at the apex, you are just snatched to the left, getting insane laterals. Then the second half of the double down is just a continuous turn to the left and getting airtime at the same time. It's insane from start to finish, but the laterals can be too much for some. But after a couple rides, you get used to it. You then go into back-to-back 0G stalls, which I think are just alright. The first one is insanely normal and just rolls into an overbank that connects into the second one, which I think is slightly better. But the first 0G roll is still pretty fun. It's still a 0G roll. It's got that nice floaty feeling. And also you go over some other pieces of track below you, which is pretty cool as well. But like I said earlier, I do think that the second one is slightly better. I don't really know why it's better, and maybe it's because it's slightly more tight and whippier. but they're both just solid, nothing extraordinary here. After the final inversions, you have 2 back-to-back hills, which by the time you hit this point of the ride, the airtime is just so powerful and low to the ground, especially that last hill being an outer bank hill. It's just thigh bruising airtime. But you rise into this like weird twist slash hill thing into the brakes, which provides some more weird airtime and laterals, but can be slightly too aggressive, but it's not too bad for me. But you slam into the brakes, and that ends your ride on Wildcats Revenge. Overall, I like this ride a lot, and there's so many great things about it. The drop, even if it's not 200 feet, still packs a punch with some amazing ejector airtime. Also, I very much enjoyed the inversions on this thing, even if not the most creative, basically just having 3 0G rolls in a stall, but I liked all of them in their own right. I also love all the different airtime on this ride. I think that the first half has some beautiful sustained airtime moments with the drop, wall stall, traditional hill, and then the second half has a lot of more low to the ground hills that also pack a big punch even though they are very small. Then throw in some very unexpected lateral movements, which can be too much, but after you ride a little bit, you kind of warm up to it, which is exactly what happened to me, and I liked it the more time I rode. So glad I could get 3 rides in on my trip, and I can't wait to get even more in the future, but the final rating for Wildcats Revenge is going to be a very, very good 9.5 out of 10, just being behind Maverick, and my number 4 barely scraping past Twisted Timbers. Thanks for watching. I think Wildcats Revenge is a phenomenal addition for Hershey Park. I think it's the greatest ride in its park, but what do you think of this high thrill RMC ride? But other than that, have a good day.